Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in. If you've clicked on this video, it's because you want to know which supplements you should be adding to your homemade dog food. I am making this video today because I have been bombarded with emails asking this same question, and unfortunately it's not something that I can give you the answer to. You need to speak with a canine nutrition expert that knows your dog. Your veterinarian or a trained canine nutritionist is going to be your number one reference point for this particular question. And I'm going to tell you why, and I'll also tell you some great supplements that you can add and why it's so difficult to figure out how much of each supplement that you should be including in your dog's diet. So basically, even the best vet-recommended, vet-created dog food recipes may not supply enough of the needed vitamins and minerals that your dog requires every single day. So let's say you're feeding this recipe and maybe it has close to the right amount of calcium, but it's just a little bit less than what your dog actually needs. You're not going to notice the effects today or tomorrow or even next week, but over time, your dog is going to become calcium deficient. So that's the problem with recipes, homemade dog food recipes. Which supplements you're going to need depend on the nutrients that are missing from the recipe. Some people choose to feed a homemade diet and they feed the same meal every day. Some people choose a homemade diet because it's a great way to be able to vary what your dog eats every day. So they use numerous recipes, and on Monday and Wednesday he eats this, on Tuesday and Thursday he eats this, on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday he eats this, or what have you. Maybe they just feed one for a few days and then the other for a few days, but they're mixing the recipes around. So depending on the recipes you're using and the vitamins and minerals contained in those recipes is going to factor into which supplements you should be using and how much of each supplement you should be using. In 2013, UC Davis, their School of Veterinary Medicine, did a study and it looked at over 200 recipes, and those recipes were from 34 different sources. They came from websites, textbooks. So some of them were, actually they came from veterinary textbooks even, and some of them were from different pet care books. You can go to the bookstore and find recipes on homemade dog food. So they looked at 200 of these recipes and they evaluated the ingredients in the recipes and the way that the instructions said to prepare the recipes, because preparation, for example, heating and freezing, cooking foods, that takes away some of the nutrients in the recipes. So they evaluated that as well. So they looked at these 200 recipes, evaluated all of them for the ingredients and the instructions. And what they found was that only 9 out of these 200 recipes provided all the essential nutrients in concentrations that met the minimum standards established for adult dogs by the the Association of American Feed Control Officials, which is the AAFCO. You'll see that labeled on a lot of dog foods. And only 5 out of those 9 provided the essential nutrients and concentrations for adult dogs set by the National Research Council. So these are vet recommended. They're coming from veterinary textbooks. They're coming from books that are published and put out there for pet parents that are mass produced, and a lot of pet owners are getting their hands on these books. And even though these recipes might be very popular, they might be easy to find on the web, they may all say that they're vet recommended, they even may be created by veterinarians, they're still not providing the nutrients needed to meet those standards which are set for commercial pet food products. So this is the dangers of just jumping online or grabbing a book at your local bookstore and coming up with these recipes on your own and not adding supplements to them. As you can see, 9 out of 200 met all the standards, which meant that there are 191 recipes out of those 200 that required supplements to be added to them. The most common supplements include things like multivitamins. Joint supplements are very common. Fatty acids, vitamin A, vitamin E are very common. Calcium, zinc, protein. So there's a lot of different supplements that can be added. You can buy canine multivitamins, just like vitamins for humans. They have a lot of different vitamins and minerals mixed into them. But the dangers with those are that you may be supplying a recipe that has the recommended amount of calcium, but maybe lacks in vitamin A, and this multivitamin is going to get your dog to where he needs to be for vitamin A, but over time he could develop a calcium toxicity because he's getting too much calcium every day. So you need to be careful with multivitamins. You can't just assume that a multivitamin is going to provide your dog with a blanket of nutrition and is going to be perfectly fine for his needs. That's not the case either. Vitamin toxicity is just as dangerous as not getting enough of a certain vitamin or mineral. So I have linked, if you're watching this on social media or on YouTube, there's a link right below to our website, and I've written up a little article about this topic as well. And in there, you're going to find a link to the National Resource Council's science-based guide on canine nutrition, and it breaks it down by weight. There's a lot of things that affect your dog's nutritional needs, activity level, breed, things like that. And it goes into that, and it gives you kind of a rough guideline of what your dog should be getting nutrient-wise every day if you want to try and do the research and figure it out yourself. Again, I highly recommend speaking with a vet, a canine nutritionist. If your vet's not into homemade food and adding supplements to that, which not all veterinarians are, it's becoming more popular, but if your vet's not, seek out a holistic nutritionist. There are some online. There are also canine nutritionists you can find online that will do consults with you over the phone or through email. So there's different ways to go about it if you don't have access in your area. I live in a very rural area, so I know that that's a reality for a lot of pet owners. So let's look at some of the things that I have here. Vitamin E, that comes in a liquid, and this is measured in IUs. So certain recipes may call for a certain number of IUs of vitamin E. So that's a little bit different than something like this superfood supplement for dogs. It's actually a powder, and you just, there's obviously dosage instructions on the container. There's a little scoop in here, and you just scoop it out and sprinkle it on your pet's food. Most supplements like this have some kind of a flavoring that makes them appetizing to your dog, so you sprinkle it on his regular meal and he just eats it. Those are very easy to give. The liquid supplements as well, you can just drop it on their food and they don't even notice and they'll eat it up. This is fish oil, very common supplement. Here is, this one is a joint supplement that's actually, it's formulated for dogs with many different things in it, but you can also get glucosamine and chondroitin separate if that's what your vet recommends or that's what you're thinking is right for your dog. This is actually a joint supplement, but you can buy those two things separately, like these. This is zinc and calcium, and these are just tablets. Now you have to be careful because this is a 1,000 milligram tablet of calcium, for example. If you have a small dog or the recipe that you're using already includes some calcium, you may not need 1,000 milligrams, so you're going to have to look into a pill cutter. You can buy powders as well. I recommend that. It's a lot easier. You can buy pill cutters and either give it to your dog that way, mix it in with his food, or crush pills into a powder and sprinkle it on your food. If you can buy a supplement in powder form, that's what I would recommend. But for those of you that have emailed me and I've sent you back an email saying, I'm sorry, I just can't answer this question for you, these are the reasons why. Feel free to send me an email if you have any more questions. As I mentioned, it's really important to work with an expert because you don't want your dog becoming malnutritioned, and on the flip side of that, you also don't want him to have toxicity. Certain vitamins and minerals can build up in his system. Calcium, vitamin A, they can become toxic to your dog over time. So it's very important that you work with somebody who is an expert in canine nutrition and can help you figure out what's right for your dog. As I mentioned, there's a lot of variables that play into what your dog needs every day as far as nutrients, and just some of those include age, activity level, breed, any health conditions that your dog might have. So there's a lot of factors that play into this, and unfortunately I don't know all of your dogs, so I can't give you a recommendation on that. And if you just email me and tell me that he's, you know, a 50-pound dog and he's kind of active without knowing your dog's health history, I still can't help you. So I'm sorry, but I hope this information helps you. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys back with some more recipes very soon.